If I told you that the absolute earliest warning sign for heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and even a dozen types of cancer doesn't actually show up on your waistline, but instead shows up on your tongue, well, you'd probably think I was out of my mind.
Oh, I mean, it sounds completely like science fiction.
Huh?
Or, maybe a weird internet rumor.
Exactly.
But it is actually an incredibly well-documented biological reality.
Which is just wild.
Yeah.
So, welcome to today's deep dive. We have a really fascinating mission for you today.
We do.
If you're listening to this, you probably already know the basics of nutrition. Like, to avoid processed sugar, what a macro is.
Yeah, the standard stuff.
Right. But today, we are looking at a breakdown from a YouTube channel called Top Health Hacks that, frankly, completely redefines the cellular biology of body fat.
It really flips the whole concept on its head.
Totally. Now, as a quick reminder for you listening, we are breaking down the claims and studies aggregated by this specific channel. We aren't your doctors, and we aren't prescribing this as medical gospel.
Right, always consult your own physician.
Exactly. But we are unpacking the fascinating science they've presented to see how it actually holds up. We are exploring this hidden biological danger inside the body, and more importantly, a very specific biological hack to melt it away without extreme dieting.
And to really grasp the solution here, we have to kind of reframe the problem.
Yeah.
We need to look past the fat you can actually see in the mirror.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because for a listener who, already tracks their fitness, the idea of a hidden fat seems paradoxical. We usually think of fat as just the stuff directly under the skin.
Yeah, that's subcutaneous fat.
The pinchable stuff.
Exactly, the fat you can pinch. And for the most part, that fat is just inert energy storage.
Yeah, extra padding.
Right, it's just sitting there. But the sources focus on something far more insidious, which is visceral fat.
Okay.
This is fat stored deep inside your abdominal cavity. It physically wraps itself around your vital organs.
Like the liver and stuff.
Liver, pancreas, your intestines, all of it.
Which means you absolutely cannot see it.
No, not at all.
You can't pinch it. And that leads to a phenomenon the medical field calls TOFI, right?
Yes, TOFI. Thin outside, fat inside.
Thin outside, fat inside. Wow.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
yeah,
TOFI is exactly why someone can look completely lean, have a perfectly normal body mass index, fit into their high school jeans, and still be at massive risk for a metabolic event.
Because they think they're fine.
Right, they think they're in perfect health because our society basically uses visual aesthetics as a proxy for metabolic health.
Which is so dangerous. But the reality inside their abdominal cavity is completely different.
Completely.
And the source material highlights the real why behind this danger. Visceral fat isn't just a storage locker.
No, it's highly metabolically active.
It's doing stuff.
It's essentially a rogue endocrine organ. Visceral fat is like this busy, unauthorized factory inside your body that is constantly pumping out inflammatory molecules.
These are called cytokines, right?
Yes, cytokines. And this creates a state of chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation.
Okay, think of it like a toxic coworker.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right, because this coworker doesn't just sit quietly at their desk hoarding office supplies.
No, they're causing trouble.
Exactly. They are actively sabotaging the entire office's network, spreading drama, messing up everyone else's projects, and just causing complete systemic chaos.
That analogy hits the nail on the head, honestly, because that systemic chaos directly messes with your primary hormones.
Specifically, insulin and estrogen, according to the breakdown.
Yes, and even more terrifying, those inflammatory cytokines actively interfere with a process called apoptosis.
Which is programmed cell death, right? Like the body's way of clearing out damaged cells.
Correct. When healthy cells get old or, damaged, they're supposed to self-destruct.
It's a cleanup mechanism.
Exactly. Apoptosis is a vital defense mechanism, but the inflammatory signals from visceral fat can actually block that process.
Oh, wow. So they just stick around.
Yeah. When damaged cells don't die when they're supposed to, they continue to divide, they mutate.
And that cellular disruption leads to the cancer statistics mentioned in the source material, which, frankly, stopped me in my tracks.
The clinical data is really unambiguous here.
Yeah.
Excess visceral fat is connected to an increased risk across 15 different cancers. 15, including colon, pancreatic, liver, and kidney cancer.
That is terrifying.
And the mechanism is almost always tied back to that chronic inflammatory signaling we just talked about, which creates a tumor-promoting environment.
There was one specific study regarding breast cancer that we definitely need to highlight for anyone listening.
Yes, the breast cancer study.
They tracked women who appeared completely healthy by standard visual metrics, right?
Yeah, the results of that study completely shatter our standard assumptions. Women who carried excess visceral fat, despite being completely thin by every external measure.
Like normal BMI, normal clothing size.
Exactly. They had a 3-fold increase in breast cancer risk compared to thin women with low visceral fat.
3 times the risk.
3 times, yes.
With the exact same weight, the same clothing size. The only difference was that invisible, toxic coworker disrupting estrogen levels and cellular function from the inside.
It's honestly one of the strongest independent predictors of disease we have. And it extends beyond cancer into stroke, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and even accelerated cognitive decline.
So if this toxic coworker is entirely invisible from the outside, how does your doctor even know they've moved into the office?
That's the tricky part.
Where does visceral fat set up camp first? Because the YouTube video highlights a hiding spot that sounds completely absurd.
It surprises virtually everyone who studies metabolic health.
The tongue.
The tongue. When your body begins accumulating visceral fat, long before it expands your waistline or wraps around your liver, one of the very first places it deposits is your tongue.
Wait, I have to push back here.
Sure.
I've literally never heard of tongue fat. Is that just an internet hook to get views, or is there actual clinical backing to a fat tongue?
I know it sounds crazy, but there's rigorous clinical backing. The posterior region,
The back part.
right, the back third of a normal human tongue is naturally marbled with a small amount of fat tissue.
Okay.
Under a microscope, it actually looks a lot like a well-marbled ribeye steak.
Wow.
But research, including this really fascinating study out of Sweden, demonstrated that this is an early accumulation site for visceral fat.
So as you become metabolically unhealthy, your tongue gets a thicker layer of marbling.
Exactly. The Swedish researchers tracked young, thin women who were gradually accumulating internal visceral fat.
But they weren't gaining visible weight.
No, they didn't gain weight visibly on their arms, legs, or bellies. But MRI scans showed their tongues became measurably thicker and heavier.
And the real-world symptom of this happening, which is just mind-blowing, is that their partners noticed they suddenly started snoring.
That is the mechanical consequence.
Right.
During deep REM sleep, your entire musculature fully relaxes,
Including the tongue.
including the tongue. And if your tongue has accumulated dense, visceral fat, it becomes significantly heavier.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, gravity pulls that fat-laden tongue backward, and it partially or completely obstructs the airway.
Leading to sleep apnea.
Exactly, leading to sleep apnea in thin people.
Which means a sleep specialist, or even like an observant dentist, might actually be the first medical professional to spot a massive metabolic crisis.
Years before a primary care doctor looking at a standard blood panel catches it.
That entirely reorients how we view snoring.
It really does. It's not just a mechanical issue of airway geometry. It's often a major metabolic symptom.
But the danger there is that if you just treat the snoring, say, by getting a CPAP machine for the listener without actually investigating the underlying visceral fat.
You're ignoring the root cause.
Yeah, you are just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You're silencing the fire alarm while the kitchen is still actively burning.
That's exactly right. The CPAP keeps you breathing, which is obviously vital.
Right, don't throw away your CPAP.
Please don't. But it does absolutely nothing to stop the cytokines from promoting cellular mutation elsewhere in the body.
Okay, so we've established a threat. We know how sneaky and incredibly dangerous this hidden fat is.
Yes.
How do you actually evict it? Because the most uplifting part of this source material is the revelation that our bodies come pre-installed with an incinerator specifically designed to destroy it.
We really do. And understanding this incinerator fundamentally shifts the paradigm of fat loss.
Okay, break it down for us.
So you have two primary types of fat tissue. We've been talking about white fat, which is where your body stores excess energy.
The storage locker,
Right. But you also possess brown fat.
which operates completely differently,
Night and day difference. Brown fat is thermogenic.
meaning it creates heat.
Exactly.
Right.
It is densely packed with mitochondria, which, as we all remember from high school biology, are the powerhouses of the cell.
Right, the powerhouses.
And those mitochondria in brown fat are loaded with iron, which is what literally gives the tissue its brown color.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I want to make sure we explain the actual cellular biology here. How does this brown fat actually burn the dangerous white fat?
It all comes down to a miraculous little protein called UCP1.
Uncoupling protein 1.
Yes. Normally, your mitochondria use the energy from your food to create ATP, which is the chemical energy your cells use to function.
Okay.
They do this through a highly controlled process called the electron transport chain.
So normally energy is captured and saved.
Right, but UCP1 acts like a backdoor.
A backdoor.
Yeah. When brown fat is activated, UCP1 uncouples that process.
Oh, hence the name.
Exactly. Instead of capturing the energy as ATP, the mitochondria just bleed off the energy as pure radiating heat.
Just burning it off.
They furiously burn through fuel just to warm up the body.
And the most crucial detail for anyone listening to this deep dive, what fuel does the brown fat use to keep that fire going?
It preferentially pulls its fuel from the most metabolically available fat source in your body.
Which is
the visceral fat.
It's like discovering your house has a massive built-in backup generator.
That's a great way to put it.
And you suddenly realize it runs exclusively on the toxic garbage you've been desperately trying to throw out for years.
It is the ultimate biological recycling system. You are literally turning metabolic waste into radiating heat.
So the million-dollar question for the listener.
Yeah.
How do you turn the generator on?
Well, the sources briefly touch on cold exposure.
Like taking cold plunges, ice baths, or sleeping in a room at 65 degrees.
Right. Those trigger epinephrine, which then binds to brown fat receptors to generate heat.
Okay, but let's be real.
Yeah, cold exposure is highly effective, but it requires a level of discomfort that many people just won't maintain consistently.
Which brings us to the absolute breakthrough of this entire deep dive. We can bypass the ice baths.
We can.
We can trigger the exact same thermogenic pathways using everyday compounds found in food.
Yes, food as the match.
Let's look at the dietary match that lights this furnace. The 3-part protocol.
The foundational spark of this protocol is green tea.
Green tea.
But we have to be specific about the mechanism here. Green tea contains a high concentration of catechins.
Okay, what's a catechin?
It's a type of natural antioxidant. Most notably, green tea has a compound called EGCG.
And EGCG is the key that fits into the ignition.
Exactly. It stimulates something called the beta-3 adrenergic pathway.
Beta-3 adrenergic pathway. Got it.
When EGCG binds to these specific receptors on your cells, it sends a direct signal to the brown fat mitochondria.
Telling them to do what?
To dramatically upregulate their expression of that UCP1 protein we just talked about.
Oh, wow.
It literally tells the cells to open the back doors and start dumping energy as heat.
The source material cites an incredible 8-week study on this, right?
Yes, the clinical results are fantastic.
They took overweight diabetic women, gave them brewed green tea daily, and they lost nearly 2 full inches of waist circumference.
2 full inches.
That is 2 belt holes of pure, dangerous, visceral fat just gone.
Completely eliminated.
But for the listener who wants to try this tomorrow morning, there is a very strict set of rules, isn't there?
Very strict.
You can't just grab a sugary bottled iced tea from the convenience store.
No, absolutely not.
The bottle
Teas have negligible catechin content, and they're usually loaded with metabolic disruptors, like high fructose corn syrup.
So what's the requirement?
The protocol demands 3 to 4 cups of actual, freshly brewed, loose leaf, or bagged green tea daily.
And the brewing temperature is highly specific too, which I found fascinating. You shouldn't just use boiling water.
Heating the water to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, a rolling boil, will actually scald the tea leaves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it destroys a significant portion of the delicate catechins.
So what temperature do we want?
You want the water at about 175 degrees. Steaming, but not boiling.
So if your kettle boils, you just wait.
Right. Let it sit and cool for about 3 minutes before pouring. Then steep the tea for 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, 175 degrees, 3 to 5 minutes. And under absolutely no circumstances should you add dairy. No milk, no cream.
Never add dairy to this protocol.
Why does milk ruin it?
Dairy contains casein proteins. These proteins aggressively bind to the catechins in the tea.
Oh, so they lock them up.
Exactly. They form these large complexes that your digestive tract literally cannot absorb.
So you end up flushing all the benefits down the drain.
You get 0 metabolic benefit.
But the sources do highly recommend adding a squeeze of fresh lemon juice.
Yes, lemon juice is excellent here.
The ascorbic acid, the vitamin C, changes the pH in your digestive tract.
It does, and it actually stabilizes the catechins, so your body absorbs a much higher percentage of them.
It's like a bioavailability booster.
A massive booster. And for listeners who might not enjoy, the grassy taste of traditional green tea, matcha is a phenomenal alternative.
Because with matcha, you're drinking the actual powdered leaf, not just steeped water.
Exactly. You consume the entire physical leaf, making it significantly more potent.
How much more potent?
Well, 1 cup of high-quality matcha can deliver the catechin equivalent of 3 cups of regular green tea.
That's incredibly efficient.
It is. Oolong tea and pure, which is a fermented black tea, are also highly effective alternatives shown to reduce waist circumference through similar pathways.
Okay, so the green tea is the spark that lights the UCP1 furnace.
Right.
But a spark burns out quickly without a sustainable log to keep the fire roaring.
You need fuel.
What is the fuel that we add to this protocol to keep the thermogenesis going?
That requires tapping into a completely different cellular mechanism.
Okay, what is it?
It's driven by the omega-3 fatty acids found in seafood.
And this is vital because omega-3s don't use that beta-3 adrenergic pathway we just discussed, do they?
No, they work completely differently. They work on the physical structure of the cell itself.
The structure.
Yeah, omega-3s actually alter the lipid composition of the mitochondrial membrane.
Wow.
They make the membrane more fluid and optimized, which makes the UCP1 protein function significantly more efficiently.
So the tea flips the switch and the omega-3s upgrade the machinery.
Exactly. The synergy between the two is what creates the massive results.
It's a multiplier effect.
It is. The sources highlight this really fascinating clinical trial out of Iceland.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about the Iceland study.
They took overweight adults and simply had them eat a serving of salmon 3 times a week for 8 weeks.
Alongside a very modest caloric restriction, right?
Yes, just a modest restriction.
And the result?
Participants lost up to 15 pounds.
15 pounds in 8 weeks, just from adding salmon.
Yes. The consistent presence of omega-3s fundamentally altered their mitochondrial membranes, elevating their basal metabolic rate and directing the body to systematically break down visceral fat.
Okay, I have to ask a highly practical question on behalf of the listener.
Go for it.
Buying fresh, wild-caught Alaskan salmon 3 nights a week is going to bankrupt a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. It's expensive.
So do I need the most premium, expensive fish to make this biological hack work?
You do not. And this is where the research becomes incredibly accessible.
Oh, thank goodness.
That same Icelandic research team ran a parallel group testing cod.
Cod is super cheap.
Right. Cod is a very lean, budget-friendly white fish.
Yeah.
And it contains roughly 80% less omega-3 content than salmon.
Wait, 80% less. That is a massive drop-off in the active ingredient.
Drastically less. Yet, the group eating the cod still lost 10 pounds over that identical 8-week period.
Wow. 10 pounds with 80% less omega-3.
Exactly.
So the biological threshold to upgrade those mitochondrial membranes is far lower than we assumed.
The body is highly responsive. You do not need massive pharmacological doses of omega-3s.
You just need the signal.
Right, you just need consistent, moderate biological signaling from real food.
The source points out that to get the omega-3 equivalent of that cod serving, you only need to eat 4 medium shrimp.
Yep, just 4.
Or 8 oyster.
Very easy.
You can use budget-friendly canned sardines or local whitefish.
Exactly. As long as you are getting seafood into your diet at least 3 times a week and rotating the variety, you are giving your mitochondria the structural upgrades they need.
So combine that with your daily green tea, and your generator is firing on all cylinders.
Which leads us to the final piece of the protocol.
Part 3.
Right. You have the spark, you have the upgraded machinery, but you need the right internal environment for the furnace to run without interruption.
And that requires time-restricted eating.
Yes.
This is all about controlling the timing of your meals to manipulate your insulin levels.
Exactly. Because from a metabolic standpoint, you are always in one of 2 states.
Okay, what are they?
First is the fed state, which occurs after you eat.
When you're digesting.
Right. In this state, your insulin levels are elevated. And insulin is an anabolic hormone. Its primary job is to store energy.
Makes sense.
When insulin is high, the chemical pathways for burning fat are biochemically locked.
Your body thinks, hey, food is plentiful, let's pack it away into the visceral fat storage.
Exactly. It's saving it for winter, basically.
Right.
But in the fasted state, as hours pass without food, your insulin levels drop back to their baseline.
And then what happens?
Well, your body first burns through the glycogen stores in your liver.
The easy energy.
Right. Once that liver glycogen is depleted, which usually takes about 10 to 12 hours, your body releases an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase.
Hormone-sensitive lipase.
Yeah.
And that enzyme is the key that unlocks the visceral fat stores.
It mobilizes the fatty acids out of the visceral fat and sends them directly to the brown fat mitochondria.
To be burned by the UCP1 protein we talked about?
Exactly. Every hour you spend in that depleted low insulin state is an hour. Your body is actively incinerating the dangerous fat around your organs.
The protocol recommends a 12 to 14-hour fast. Now, to a lot of listeners, fasting sounds like a miserable exercise in starvation.
It sounds intimidating.
But if you actually look at the math, it's incredibly passive.
Very passive.
Yeah.
Because you spend the vast majority of that time unconscious.
Exactly. Think about your own daily routine. If you simply finish your dinner at 7 p.m. and decide to, close the kitchen for the night at 8 p.m.
No more snacks.
Right. You go to bed, you sleep from 11:00 p.m. to 7:00 a.m. By the time your alarm goes off, you have already banked 11 hours of fasting.
Right. You haven't starved. You've just been sleeping.
Exactly.
You wake up, you spend an hour getting ready, taking a shower, and drinking your properly brewed green tea.
The spark.
And by 8 a.m., you've hit a 12-hour fast.
Just like that.
Just like that. You've allowed your body to deplete its liver glycogen, drop its insulin, and run its internal furnace on visceral fat, all by simply aligning your eating habits with your natural circadian rhythm.
So let's say you listening right now decide to implement this.
Okay.
You brew your green tea tomorrow morning, you have shrimp for dinner, and you stop snacking at 8 p.m. How do you actually measure if this complex biological machinery is working?
Because, as we established, you can't see visceral fat in the mirror.
Right. You can't pinch it, so how do we track it?
The absolute first rule is to throw your bathroom scale in the closet.
Ditch the scale entirely.
Ditch it. The scale is a blunt, archaic instrument for metabolic health.
Why is that?
Because it measures the gravitational pull of your bone density, your water retention, your muscle mass, and your fat indiscriminately.
It just lumps it all together?
Exactly. And we want heavy, dense bones. We want substantial muscle mass.
Because muscle acts as a metabolic sink for glucose, right?
Yes, muscle is vital.
So what is the actual metric for success?
A simple, inexpensive cloth tape measure.
Just a standard tape measure.
Yep, you want to measure your waist circumference squarely at the level of your belly button.
Not the hips.
No, belly button. Take that measurement once a week on the exact same day at the exact same time.
Like Sunday morning.
Ideally, right after you wake up and before you consume anything.
Okay, the source material provides some very specific clinical red flags here that we should mention.
Yes, these are important thresholds.
For men, a waist measurement of 40 inches or more is a strong clinical indicator of a dangerous level of visceral fat.
And for women, that threshold is 35 inches or more.
40 for men, 35 for women.
Right. Those are the upper limits. But even if you are currently below those thresholds, actively reducing your waistline should be the goal. A reduction of just 1 to 2 inches over an 8-week period is clinical confirmation that the inflammatory visceral fat is being destroyed.
So you could theoretically step on the scale after 2 months and see that you only lost 4 or 5 pounds.
Right.
But if you lost 3 inches off your waist, you've achieved a massive biological victory.
What's fascinating here is that this specific gap, losing significant inches around the navel without seeing a massive drop in total body weight, represents the holy grail of metabolic interventions.
Because it means you kept the good stuff.
Exactly. It proves that the hazardous, disease-promoting fat was eliminated while your vital, longevity-promoting muscle and bone density were perfectly preserved.
So what does this all mean for you? Let's quickly recap the actionable takeaways to get this internal UCP1 furnace running hot.
Let's do it.
First, handle the basics. Limit the highly processed foods and liquid sugars that keep your insulin chronically spiked.
Got to keep insulin in check.
Second, keep the machinery moving. The sources recommend 150 minutes of moderate cardiovascular activity a week.
Which sounds like a lot, but
Yeah. It's literally just a 30-minute walk 5 days a week,
very doable.
along with some resistance training to maintain that heavy muscle.
You also have to manage your psychological environment.
Oh, stress.
Yes, stress. Chronic stress triggers the constant release of cortisol, which is a hormone that chemically signals your body to store fat directly around your midsection.
Literally building visceral fat.
Yes, and you must prioritize 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep.
Because of the apnea connection.
Well, that, but also because sleep deprivation severely disrupts both insulin sensitivity and your hunger hormones.
And finally, implement the 3-part protocol we unpacked today. 3 to 4 cups of properly brewed, non-dairy green tea daily to provide the spark.
Right.
A serving of accessible seafood 3 times a week to upgrade the cellular machinery.
Yep.
And a simple 12 to 14-hour overnight fast to let the insulin drop and unlock the fuel source.
Exactly. You don't need to starve yourself, and you don't need to suffer.
You just need to send the correct biological signals to the systems you already possess.
This knowledge really shifts the entire cultural paradigm.
How so?
It moves us away from the superficial goal of losing weight, just to look good in a swimsuit, and towards the vital goal of creating a biological environment that is fundamentally inhospitable to disease.
Inhospitable to disease. I love that.
And, considering all the mechanisms we've discussed today, this actually raises an important question, a rather provocative thought to leave you with.
Oh, lay it on us.
We now know our bodies are biologically hardwired with this elegant, highly responsive, built-in system specifically designed to burn visceral fat for heat and energy.
Right, the UCP1 furnace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That makes you wonder, is the modern global epidemic of metabolic disease, the skyrocketing rates of diabetes and cancer, simply the biological consequence of a world that is always perfectly climate controlled?
Wow.
A world where hyper-palatable food is effortlessly available 24/7, and where our ancient internal survival engines have simply fallen asleep from lack of use.
Wow. That really changes how you look at a simple office thermostat or a midnight snack, doesn't it?
It really does.
We started today's deep dive talking about expectations. The societal expectation that getting healthy is just about sculpting a piece of clay, staring in the mirror, and agonizing over the fat we can pinch with our finger.
The subcutaneous fat.
Right. But it turns out the most crucial life-saving weight loss journey you can embark on has absolutely nothing to do with your reflection.
Nothing at all.
It is entirely about waking up that invisible internal furnace. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Take these protocols, apply them to your morning routine, keep questioning the world around you, and we'll catch you next time.